the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Checking the Pulse of Wrestling Nation, brought to you by XCancer. Check them out at XCancer.com. Now, this is finally, The Rock, like what The Rock used to say. Finally, The Rock has come back. Finally, this is the special team show. Now, admittedly, I have been told I have to remain calmer on these shows, which is hard for me to do. Now, with the beta blockers and all the medications I'm on, I'm actually pretty mellow in my everyday life right now. That surprises most people. When I get on this show and I talk Husker football, something I love and I'm passionate about, it just starts flowing. I've been told I need to remain calmer, okay, for the old ticker here. Again, hard for me to do. I'll do my best. Basically, I have a cardiac MRI. We had to take a month to let the heart build back up. All right, it was not beaten properly. The ejection fraction was 50%, a little scary, blah, 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 blah. Don't want to bore you, but we've given it a month to kind of beat back up. We're going to do the follow-up cardiac MRI. As long as it's strong enough, I'm going to see the cardiologist, a different one actually, to get a second opinion. But as long as he agrees and the cardiac MRI shows that my heart's built back up, we can do the second surgery/procedure. And that is fully what is expected to happen. I'd be shocked or surprised if something else doesn't happen. If we're not able to do it because it hasn't built back up, frankly, it's kind of something I'd rather not think about. But I'm going to try to be calmer. I've been told that needs to happen on these shows. But I'm wearing the Bring Back the Fullback shirt, even though it's a special team show, but almost kind of because it's apropos. And I'm fully aware that we're not going to have a fullback on the team or we don't run a fullback in the offense. That's fine, okay? Personally, I kind of like it, but offenses have worked without it. Also, it's a show topic for another day. But I do think we're missing fullbacks on special teams because that is a key area where fullbacks make a big-time impact on punt team, kickoff return teams, things of that nature. But anyways, that's why I'm wearing the shirt. It is a cool shirt. Check it out at Cornhusker Memes. But let's talk about the special teams. Give a little bit of breakdown of things I've seen, what we kind of expect going forward. I'm going to start right off the top because everyone wants to talk about the punter, the field goal kickers, and the returners. Okay, those are the flashy guys everyone wants to talk about on special teams. So we'll start with the punter, the kicker, and we'll end with the returners at the end. So you look at punter Brian Buschini. And I'm going to I know the spring game was a while ago, but some of the things I'm going to be talking about are referring back to that game because that's really the only game-type action that punters and field goals kickers get at all. And it's really the only way to kind of gauge them because practice is so different. So you look at Brian Buschini, FCS All-American, FCS Punter of the Year. I've talked about him before. I have full confidence this guy's going to be a very good kicker for us, and he's going to be consistent, and he's going to be a gigantic upgrade. Now, I'm not saying he didn't do well at the spring game. I'm just going to say he was a little bit inconsistent. He had a couple punts over 60 yards. Boomed. He showed what people could do. This first punt got quite the reaction. People were excited. He had a couple very short punts as well. Now, you can attribute this to potentially being nerves. You can attribute it. Some of them were against the wind, in all fairness. But like I said, he averaged just over 40 yards per punt, which isn't too shabby. I do expect him to be very consistent and very good come the season. Now, when you look at the field goal kicking situation, that's the thing that's a lot more up in the air. A lot more question marks about that. You look at a year ago, I don't got to spend a whole lot of time on this, but Nebraska was 13th in the Big Ten Conference in making field goals. Okay, only Northwestern was worse. And Northwestern made 46.2% of their field goal attempts. Now, Nebraska missed 4 PATs. Okay, nobody else outside of Maryland, nobody else in the entire Big Ten Conference missed more than 2. All right, so those are things that absolutely have to be addressed. And I bring those up because the spring game honestly looked like more of the same to me. I didn't see a whole lot of difference when it came to our field goal PAT kicking game. Now, some of the guys that kicked are Trace Contreras, Gabe Hines, and Brandon Franke. I should mention Brandon Franke was also the individual who did our kickoffs, okay, in the 2021 season. And he got a touchback on 61.3% of his kickoff attempts. So he'll be in that mix again next year, trying to earn that job as well. Now, in my opinion, okay, because we made a 26-yard field goal. We also missed a short field goal in there as well. Okay, I feel silly saying this. We made some PATs. I feel silly that I even have to point that out because we missed a PAT. Again, it looked like more of the same to me, and I'm not saying these guys can't earn the job. They can't get better, but right now I just don't feel like we have a consistent field goal kicker on the team. Alas, we have transfer kicker Timmy Bleekrode coming in from Furman. We also have a true freshman to keep your eye on, Charlie Weinrich, who are going to be in the mix trying to earn this field goal kicking that starting job. Now, the favorite's got to be Timmy, even though he's not even on campus yet. He'll be here in about a month. Got to earn the job, don't get me wrong. And Charlie will be here this summer as well. Now, when you look at what Timmy did, okay, he punted as well, in case you were interested. So if Brian goes down, we've actually got another pretty good punter on the team because he averaged 43.6 yards per punt. But when it comes to field goals, a year ago, Timmy made 15 of 18 field goals, along with 51 yards. He made 8 of his last 9 field goal attempts on the year, so he finished strong. And he made 9 of 9 attempts under 40 yards. It almost seems kind of silly because under 40, you're like, they should always make that. Well, we haven't had that. But if we can find that simple consistency, that'll help a lot. Okay, and he was 30 of 32 at PAT. So he missed a couple of PATs, all right? But it's kind of that over 50, people are kind of like, yeah, it's kind of a bonus if you can make those. That's awesome because everyone knows those are really long. But under 40, if you're a Division I frickin' field goal kicker, you should be making like 95% of those. And he was 9 of 9 a year ago. Now, when you look at the 30 to 49 yard range, okay, that 40 to 49 is kind of what separates guys from average to good to Lou Groza potential type kickers. And I'm not saying anybody should or shouldn't be in that conversation yet for Nebraska. Okay, but 30 to 49, Timmy actually has a higher make percentage of those kicks than Nebraska's had in the past 3 years. So if he comes in and does similarly what he's done in the past to Furman, which, you know, unlike other positions, what else is going on around you shouldn't really matter. I mean, the uprights are still the same. The ball's still the same. Obviously, the stage is bigger. As long as he can handle that, he should be able to continue the success he's had and be the favorite anyways. Got to earn the job, but to be the starting field goal kicker. You look at our coverage teams. We've obviously had issues giving up kick returns for touchdowns. I believe it was Wisconsin. I went off the top of my head. Obviously, we've given up punt returns for touchdowns. It was hard to judge the coverage teams, okay, once the ball is kicked or punted. Just the format of the spring game. It was also hard to judge the return blocking, the blocking units on the punt return and kick return. Okay, just the format of the spring game. Now, we have had issues giving up fake punts. You know, when we're returning a punt, giving up a successful fake punt attempt by the other team. They converted on us more often than we would like to admit in the past couple of years. But that's something that Bill Bush, the new special teams coordinator, that's part of his job. I think he'll be able to handle that just through effective coaching and focusing on something like that. Now, when you look at the returners, right, these are the exciting guys that everyone wants to talk about. Okay, Trey Palmer appears to be an obvious favorite to do a punt return, kick return, be in that conversation. He's returned punts and kicks for touchdowns before at LSU. There are other guys who did this in the spring game as well, and I don't want to leave anybody out or disrespect anybody because there's a lot of guys in this conversation right now. But when I think of punt returners, kick returns, like who excites me? I'm trying to be calm here. Okay, who excites me? This is going to shock people. But I was a big fan of Deion Sanders growing up. Our games are so much alike, it's uncanny. Wink, wink. But when he went back, he didn't do it a lot. But when he returned punts or kicks or whatever, man, it was exciting. It was a time for excitement. Who excites me? I'm not saying there aren't other guys who can excite me on this roster, but the two guys who stick out are Trey Palmer and Anthony Grant. Now, if he's starting at running back, maybe he only does it once in a while like Deion did, but he's a guy that did it at Florida State. People forget about that. He's an explosive guy. So those are the guys that are kind of on my radar. Do me a favor and smash that like button, Hulk. Smash the like button. If you want me to interview Coach Osborne, got a lot of questions for him. If you want me to interview him for the next show, also comment below and let me know where our special teams be average, above average, or below average next year. Throw the bones. This show is brought to you by XCancer. Join the fight at XCancerStore.com and support your loved ones, your neighbors, and cancer fighters all over the world and help them gain access to revolutionary treatments. XCancerStore.com has a wide variety of t-shirts and merchandise supporting a wide variety of cancer battles so you can show off the colors that matter. Proceeds from each purchase not only help those at home, but also cancer fighters in Tanzania, Africa. Check them out at XCancerStore.com.